सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां दयाकरं दयाकारं दान्तं धर्मप्रवर्तकं प्रणमामि दयानन्दं मदाचार्यवरं परम्। ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Yesterday we saw the little bit of the introductory bhashya to the next section, because each section is tightly connected to what comes before, what has gone before, and what is going to come later. And Adi Shankara gives a very persuasive bhashya to this to connect these two sections, even though it's not a middle of a chapter, it's not one chapter to another. Still, even that one section to another makes all the difference, because we are talking of a very important subject matter, the difference between paravidya and aparavidya. Paravidya vishaya is, the subject matter is what? Moksha. Freedom, complete freedom from samsara. Total and complete freedom from samsara means what? Sorrow, pain, fear, afflictions. That is paravidya. And what is aparavidya? What is the subject matter of aparavidya? Samsara. Samsara only is the subject matter. And because it is a relative solution of how to stay afloat in samsara. Like when you take babies swimming, they put all those air bands, air bands, this life vest, all these things filled with air, so that the child learning to swim does not sink. And so the aparavidya is like these air bands that at best keep you afloat. But at the same time, you still have to keep treading water. You still are, if a strong wave comes, it's finished. And then it is never ending, as the bhashya will continue to tell us. It is never ending because you keep rescuing yourself, you keep hoping to be rescued, and then what happens? Nothing happens as a result. Once you need rescue, then what do you mean? You need rescue next time also. So, continuing where we left off with the Bhashya, this much was talked about earlier. What was talked about is that the by starting with the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and then talking about Aparavidya, and then ending with Nama Rupam, Annam, Jayate, etc. This Paravidya was talked about in the first section, but not Aparavidya. Continuing, Adi Shankara says, Tatra Aparavidya Vishayah Kartradi Sadhana Kriyaphala Bhedarupah Samsarah Anadihi Anantah Dukkhaswarupat Hatavyah Pratyekam Shariribhihi Samastyena Nadi Srotovat Avyavacheda Rupa Sambandha. Yeah, quite a mouthful. Let us unpack that. Tatra. Tatra means Nirdharane Saptami, meaning we are talking now of Aparavidya. Aparavidya Vishaye. Tatra. So, in this context, in this we are defining the context here, and then Aparavidya Vishayah. So, what is Aparavidya Vishayah? Aparacha asau vidya tasyaha vishayah. Vidyayaha vishayah. So, this is what is this vidya? It is vidya, it is knowledge, and it is relative. Apara, it is not total, and then it is not the ultimate. So, this non-ultimate vidya of means and ends, what kinds of means and ends? Finite means, finite ends, that leads to again more and more finitude. This, the subject matter, Vishaya means subject matter, is divided, is based on the division. What is this? So, it is Bheda Rupaha. Bheda Rupaha means in the form of various divisions. What are the divisions? Kartra. Kartru. What is Kartru? Karta. Our famous Karta. Karta means what? Doer. Sadhana means Karaka here. Instead of Karaka, Adi Shankara has used Sadhana. So, the other accoutrements of doing, such as what? Object. And what else? Instrument. And for the sake of karma phala, I am doing, correct? And then from where did this come? From the Veda, this mantra came. I am using that mantra. And then there is all this other sahakari, the yajamana has wife. Okay, the spouse has to be there, as we will see. And so all these things, and then in the fire the oblations are put and received. And so all the karakas come in, and the karakas become the factors involved in the action. Here they are called as sadhanani. So kartru, sadhana. Kriya means what? Action. So, of course, when the accoutrements of actions are there, what else is there? Action is also there. So, then when action is there, what is there? What is the next word? Phala. Phalam is there. Phalani are there, in fact. Phala bheda rupaha. So, this Aparavidya Vishaya is divided into all these. When you unpack the word Aparavidya Vishaya, the subject matter of Aparavidya suitcase, when you open, all these things jump out. What are they? Doer, and then object, and instrument. Even the chamas with which the fire is offered is an instrument. That is part of the action. So, instrument. And the devatas for whose sake the oblations are done, and then the place from which the mantras are received, and then the other accoutrements of action such as dharma sahacharini, patni, etc. In fact, the word Patni is itself a miracle, how it is formed. Patyuhu naha yajna samyoge. So you of the word Patihi, the word Patihi, you take out the E, what are you left with? Pat. And then you add na. And then you have a feminine geep to make it long, E, Patni. That's how it is formed. And Panini explains, what is this word Patni? Patni is Yajnena Samyogaha. Yajnena Samyogaha, we can also add Yajnaya Samyogaha. Api. Yajnena Samyogaha means brought together by Yajna, because that fire is there, which is witnessing the holy matrimony between the person. But then it's also Yajnaya Samyogaha, because why does the person get married? In order to fulfill desires along with another. Because until the person is married, the person is not adhikritaha for Yajna. All the kamya karmas you want to do, you have to be married. Agnihotradi. Even nitya karma, kamya karma, whatever it is you want to do, you have to be, first qualification, you have to be married. So you fulfill the desires together, then you realize you can't fulfill them, you grow miserable together, and together you take to a life of vanaprastha, and then finally drop everything. That is the whole idea of growth here. So then the Patni also becomes a factor in the action, and then so then this Aparavidya Vishaya is characterized by all these Bhedas, all these divisions between doer, and then the accoutrements of doing, action, reaction, and then these differences therein. And then in short, what is this whole package? Samsara. This is samsara. Samsara is duality. Samsara is division. Division between each karta, each karma phala. Everything is, this is what I want. I didn't get what I wanted now, so now I am going to get what I want. All these things are the definition, the very definition of samsara. Samyak sarati, that which keeps on moving in an uninterrupted fashion without any help from you. You are just born into it, but you can come out of it. Atmajnanena, that's going to be told later. So, and what is the characteristics of samsara? Adi Shankara gives in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. So let us see. So anadihi. Anadihi means what? It did not begin, no beginning. What is the birthday? Happy birthday samsara if you want to wish. When was it born? No birthday. No birth at all. Why? Because what is the basis of samsara? Atma Ajnanam. Does Atma Ajnanam have a date of birth? No. So samsara based on Atma Ajnanam, the duality based on Atma Ajnanam, and the suffering based on Atma Ajnanam also has no beginning date. That is also negated. Anadihi. And then Anadihi Anantaha. Anantaha means what? No end. Oh my God. Should we end the 3-month course? 3-month course has anta, samsara has no anta. Meaning until it is queried, until it is vichara is done, and until as the next section we are going into will tell, until the ajnanam, which is the basis of samsara, is interrogated. Pariksha has to be done. Until the enquiry is done, one can go on and on and on. Pujya Swamiji used to give a very good example of this small mirror which is there in most South Indian houses. Small mirror. We don't have all this full size mirror, all that has come now. In the olden days, only one small mirror enough to put this tilakam, something you want to put, just a little face you see, that's about it. And now there is back-to-back mirrors. There is mirrors all over. You go to one of these big hotels, mirrors everywhere. So then Without the help of a mirror, can you see the back? No. So you need back-to-back mirror. That's why it's called back-to-back, because you can see your back in this mirror. So generations of people, Swamiji would say, would live and die without ever having seen their back. You know it is there, but you haven't seen it. You haven't, have come and gone. So like this, generations and generations of people have been born in samsara and have passed away in samsara without ever seeing, recognizing the problems of samsara. But then if you don't see your back, nothing is lost, because no problem at all. Back is there, it will come along wherever you go, it will be there. And if there is a pain, you put some belt or balm or something and then keep quiet. So this is what, if you don't know, if you haven't seen your back, then there is no problem, but you haven't been able to see that one suffers from Atma Ajnanam. It's a very, very big problem. So for generations of people continue to be born, continue to die away without knowing the Atma. Therefore samsara is anadi for them. Until it is interrogated, it is anadi. And then, so what must be done? Hatavyaha. Ha, third conjugation, ohak tyage. So to give to this thing, what is this ohak? O is a indicatory letter that has some purpose. For example, all the words beginning with O, dhatus beginning with O, like O vrashchu, ohak, O lasji, like that, most of them the past participle will take, past passive participle will take na instead of kta. So that is one of the things, not always but most of the time. And so ohak tyage, the O goes away, only the ka goes away, only the ha remains, ha, and then past passive participle hinaha, and then ha plus tavya. Tavya means must. Must what? Ha means to what? Give up. So ohak tyage, must give up, must be given up. What must be given up? Samsara must be given up. Why? The hetu is given there. Dukkha swarupat, something it says. What does it say? Dukkha swarupatvat. Exactly. Dukkha swarupatvat, because it is in the form of sorrow. It doesn't give sorrow. It is the embodiment of sorrow. It is a Purnavatara of sorrow. Yeah, it is nothing but sorrow. And these are the defects of samsara, the famous defects which have been codified by Swami Paramarthananda and have become very famous. All the teachers use them. What is that? What are the defects, dosha of samsara? First defect is that it is dukkha mishritatvam. Everything in samsara is laced with sorrow. So even the happy events are mixed with sorrow. How was the vacation? Oh, it was great, but ... that ... got caught in traffic, went there and ate something wrong and got sick, and then what else? So many things like that. And then had to cut it short because somebody at home got sick and we had to rush home to hospitalize that patient. And so like this, it is dukkha mishritatvam. Every happy incident is clouded by sorrow. This is the first dosha of samsara. What is the second dosha of samsara? Atriptikaram. So even if I have the perfect vacation, after I come back, what do I want to do? Go again. Go again. Because I went, it was really good, but because of shortage of time, I could not climb. If I am going hiking, I could not climb that particular hill, So therefore I have to go again. I could not take one more selfie on the cliff. Yeah. Famous class selfies people have taken. Yeah, don't do that. So people do these dangerous things, hang off a cliff and take one selfie. So like this, they will be atriptikaram, because the tripti is centered on whom? Myself. But if I'm looking for tripti in objects, events, people, whatever it is, then even after 6 marriages, one will not be happy. One will always be wanting. And so the second dosha of samsara is what? Atriptikaram. The third dosha is sapekshikatvam. Sapekshikatvam means it is got a dependent quality. Dependent quality means you have to have so many things in place in order for that happiness to happen in samsara. So many things have to be, as they say, all the ducks need to be nicely lined up in one row in order for there to be the happiness in samsara. Like what? Like the vacation place should be there. The hotel that I want to stay at should be empty. And I have never stayed at this hotel, it should fulfill my expectation. And then I don't want to go alone. I want to go with the family, with the spouse and with the children. The children happen to be teenagers who have their own idea of where they want to go. Okay, so then all these things will not line up in place, at all. So somehow I am able to convince them, but the spouse and the children are all sullen, they are all coming like this. Yeah, we are coming because you are paying for it. Okay, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, we had our own ideas. We want to go somewhere else. Who wants to come to your stupid place? All the time you want to go and visit temples. We are not interested in temples. All the young people will say that. So then you have a brood of people with you who are what? Unwilling participants. Yeah, that's why it's called brood. They are brooding all the time. And then after that what? So this is all comes under the dosha called sapekshikatvam. And then finally bandhakaratvam. Bandhakara, the samsara is bandhakara. Everything in samsara, whatever you do, whatever you take, whatever you consume, whatever you partake in the beginning it will look very, very nice, but it will pull you in and tie you up. And then you are sitting there gagged and bound and no place to go. So bandhakara means addictive in nature. It binds you to more and more experiences, more and more objects, more and more people of the finite category. Everything in samsara is finite, but unfortunately I am now bound to the finite, thinking that I can make it what? Infinite. Thinking that I can make it infinite. So these fourfold doshas of samsara, because of which it becomes dukkhaspadam. This is why it is dukkhaspadam. Dukkhaspadatvat hatavyaha. Hatavyaha, because it just gives sorrow. And we have to see the dosha, because dosha darshanena, only through the seeing of these limitations and these fallacies of samsara can one come out of it. We have to see that, and the purpose of this section is to make us averse to samsara and averse to all the accoutrements of samsara, namely the first portion of the Karmakanda portion of the Veda. It is helpful. Yesterday we saw all the ways in which it is helpful, but many things are helpful. Even a tricycle was helpful, was it not? Yeah. Do you keep riding it now on the ashram grounds? No. Why? Because it was useful when I was 5 years old, when I did not know how to steer. Now I know how to do that. That is given away to another child until its life cycle is done. Doll was helpful, teddy bear was helpful, all these things were helpful, but you don't go around dragging one doll all over the place. You don't bring the doll to class and keep it next to you. Why? Because it is no longer useful. Somehow this brain, this buddhi in an average human being, which knows when the usefulness is gone and which is able to give up everything as one progresses in life, is not able to give up objects in samsara for some reason. We keep dragging around samsara even though it has lost its appeal, even though it is no longer useful to me. And same thing with that which gives pleasures in samsara, which gives a certain kind of a pratishtha in samsara, namely the first portion of the Veda. It was enough to grow me up emotionally, to make me an independent person. It was enough to help me to become dharmic. It was enough to bring me close to Ishvara. It was enough to bring Ishvara in my life in the form of prayer. And now what? Dukkha Swarupatvat Hatavyaha must be given up. And then what else? This is very important. Adi Shankara puts a little twist here. Pratyekam Shariribhihi. By all the people who have a body. There is one Purva Paksha which is being apasta here, which is being negated here. What is that Purva Paksha called? Eka Jiva Vada. Eka Jiva Vada means what? There is how many Chaitanyas are there? One Chaitanya. So then one Jiva is only needed to get moksha. You elect or nominate one person, proxy moksha. Give them some money also, put some tilak, garland them and send them off to a 3-year course. Okay? And you eat bonbons in front of the TV. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. You go about your life in samsara however you want. You eat candy, sit in front of TV, and then once in a while you get some update from them. Kitna hua? How much have you progressed? Because when he or she gets moksha, then what will happen? You will also get moksha. Fantastic. Ahaha. Very good. So that means what? That means we never have to tell, from our standpoint, we never have to tell anybody who comes, there is no more room in the ashram. Why? Because only one person is coming. Correct? Appointed by each group, maybe each country, one person. Each community, one person. So we never have to tell, because this is instant ashram population control, because we never have to tell the people that, oh, sorry, no room, please, you have to share, okay, no room. Here only the only thing that is shared is moksha. This is called Eka Jiva Vada, which they fall on their face, stupid people, but nonetheless, this is a Purva Paksha that is still in vogue. Even now people think like that. Many people think like that there is proxy moksha. Substitute moksha. You appoint somebody and then what will happen? You will get moksha. One person gets moksha because there is only one consciousness. You only said there is only one consciousness, and you only said there is only there is a one Atma Ajnanam, one consciousness. Therefore, that consciousness is freed. One person is freed, then everybody is freed. This is a very problematic Purva Paksha, and we see the problems are very, very obvious. What is the problem here? The problem is that the Ajnanam sits in each head, correct? Yeah. So by this token, only one person should eat, correct? Yeah. If one person eats, then everybody should eat. One person should take a shower. Everybody else need not take a shower. Here they will happily, each one will go and eat, each one will go and do whatever they want, but for moksha, they become lazy and they say, Eka Jiva Vada. Doesn't make sense. So, this Chaitanya is, as it were, in the form of Chidabhasa in various minds, in various upadhis, it is there. And so too is the Atma Ajnanam is sitting in the upadhi along with the Chidabhasa. So much so that the person cannot recognize himself or herself as this Satchidananda. So therefore the teaching is needed when individually. Pratyekam shariribhihi. By each and every embodied person, this effort has to be made. What is the effort? To give up samsara. How? Samastyena. Look at the next word. Samastyena. Samastasya bhava shanch pratyaya. And then so, samasta means total. Totally. Itham bhute tritiya. Samastyena hatavyaha. Completely given up. How to give up? Completely. Completely here is in the form of completeness. That is the idea. So completely given up. Totally given up. Otherwise what will happen? Nadi sroto vat. Like srotas means flow. Neuter. Srotas, srotasi, srotamsi. So srotas. Nadi srotas. Nadi srotaha. Srotaha means what? Flow. Nadi srotaha means what? The flow of a river. Like the flow of the river, what happens? Avyavacheda rupaha. Avyavacheda. Chid, to break. Chid means break. Okay. So, so there are many upasargas there. So, a plus v plus av plus chid. Avyavacheda. Vyavacheda means gap. Avyavacheda means no gap. Nirantara, the flow of the river, is there a gap? Oh, we are waiting for Devaprayag to come down. No, we are waiting. The river is in Devaprayag now. Gangaji is in Devaprayag. Right now there is a gap. Again she will flow. No, no gap. Samsara is like a river without any vyavacheda, without any gap. No gap at all. So, nadi sroto vat. Vat means like. Tena tulya kriya chet vatihi. So vat means like. Sroto vat. Srotaha vat. Sroto vat. And then avyavacheda. Avyavacheda means no nirantaram, gapless flow of samsara. And then avacheda rupa sambandha. Sambandha can be read in two ways. First, sambandha means what? Connection, relationship. Relationship to who? To the person in samsara, namely the jiva. That is not said here. So it is more of a figurative understanding. So sambandha, avyavacheda rupa sambandha to who? To the jiva, is connected to the jiva. Samsara is connected to the jiva like the endless perennial flow of the river, in which there are no gaps. So similarly the jiva is getting born, getting died, getting born, died. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Sleeping in the womb of the mummy and then coming out and then sleeping, dying and then going to different lokas, coming back. This is avyavacheda sambandha. This is the connection to the jiva. Now, a more interesting and immediate meaning is samyak bandha, intense bondage. So the rupa of this samsara, which is in the form of this endless flow of the river, is what? Is the swarupa of intense bondage. Samyak bandha. Bandha, bondage. So that so its connection to the jiva is flowless. Okay, sorry, breakless flow. Yeah, breakless flow. And then the this is the problem in samsara, because it's not a small thing. So many things are there, and every dampati, every couple in their lifetime has to perform 26 compulsory rituals. Think about it. So they have to keep 3 fires burning. 3 fires are burning somewhere in a storehouse. And then they are not burning Actively they are burning in the form of kindling covered with sawdust. Anytime they should be available, and they are received from the parents. And then Dakshinagni, Avahaniyagni, Garhapatyagni, all these things are there, and these forms of Agnis are kept going for various rituals. Certain rituals will only take from certain pots, they are kept in certain pots. And all this, the life of a Vaidika is not simple. And so, the life of a Vaidika, while it makes them qualify for this knowledge, must not be taken beyond that, because if that lifestyle is continued even after one has graduated, then the dosha of samsara will present itself. So basically, what is the problem with samsara in one word? Duality. Duality. Duality, dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. So each time, even as a worshipper, I am offering to who? Indra, Prajapati, Agni, Agnaye Swaha, Indraya Swaha. When I say, who is this Indra? Myself or different from me? Different from me. That means what? I am invoking Indra as a god who has power over me. And then whenever that invocation is done, there is a fear. What if Indra does not get his share? What is if Indra is displeased? What if I received a phone call during the yajna? Then there was a distraction. It happens. People do this. There was a distraction. So what? What if I do this? What if some wrong steps are done? All these problems will come. And so therefore the whole Kriya Karaka Phala Bheda Rupa is a short form for Dvaita. Samsara is what? Dvaita. Dvaita is cause of fear. Dvaita dhi bhayam bhavati. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And then Taittiriya Upanishad, Ut aram antaram kurute. Even if you make a difference between yourself and another, as thin as the edge of a blade, still athasaha bhayam gato bhavati. Still the person is given to fear, consumed by fear. This is the idea. And so since the person is consumed by fear, what happens? Nothing happens. There is the person is, the fear begets fear. So the more afraid I am, the more pujas, the more things I do in samsara, and the more finitude I beget, and the more afraid I get, because there is fear of security, fear of lack of not being Indra, fear of so many things, fear of the future, fear of the past, all these things are there. And so Dvaita, in short it is Dvaita. One can argue Kriya, Karaka, Phala, Kriya, Sadhana, Phala. It's not Dvaita, it is what? Three. Then I'm okay. No. Dvaita to begin with, subject, object, and then you add all the other things. So Dvaita is there to begin with, so that kind of a thing does not go at all. So Pratyekam Shariribhihi, therefore Hatavyaha, no group moksha, no proxy moksha, no paid moksha. Okay. So then even, but what Shishya carries you across the threshold of samsara. Shishya is carried across the threshold of samsara. Says who? Says some spiritual romantic. That's what it is. This is spiritual romanticism. Guru will take the Shishya, carry them across samsara, and when the dry moksha land is there, place them. No such thing. Guru had to walk on his own, her own. Shishya also has to walk on his own, her own. No such thing. All that is spiritual romanticism, and this whole thing we talked about in the Gita class about waiting to be saved. There is no saving here. Why? Because samsara ultimately is what? Mithya. It doesn't even exist. And here we are troubled by something that ultimately does not exist, which is why it is so dangerous. Which is why it has to be given up completely by each and every human being. It has to be eschewed. And so therefore what? So therefore the Therefore, we have to, because it is Nitya Dukkha Rupa, samsara has to, is highlighted. Yeah, samsara first is highlighted in verses 1 to 6, I think. 7 to 12, 7 to 11, Khandanam of samsara is done, and then the 12th and the 13th verses show Guru Upasadanam and the need for the teacher in the progress for this knowledge. Now we come to the next part of the Bhashya, where Paravidya Vishaya is talked about, in contrast to Aparavidya. Tad Upashamalakshanaha Mokshaha Paravidya Vishayah Anadi Anantah Ajarah Amarah Amritah Abhayah Shuddhah Prasannah Svatmapratishtha Lakshanah Paramanandah Advayah iti. Fantastic, completely opposite. Think about all this. Yeah. Tad upashama lakshanaha. Tad upashama lakshanaha means samsara upashama lakshanaha. So samsara upashamaha eva lakshanaha yasya, which is what? Mokshasya. The samsara upashama lakshanaha mokshaha. So tad means samsara here. Samsara upashama lakshanaha. What is that? Mokshaha. And what is this moksha? Moksha is Paravidya Vishaya. No more karta, no more karma, no more karanani. Nothing. No, nothing there. All the karakas are swallowed up in the wake of this knowledge. I am not karta. I am not the doer. That is the knowledge of moksha. Moksha means the doership is an attribute that is as though superimposed upon the I, which is the Atma, which is free of doership. Iti jnate sati. When this is known, then what happens? Every other thing upon which the doer is standing goes away. Because the doer is what? Is the main thing. That is why it is the first one. What is first? You don't start with Ramena, Ramabhyam, Ramaihi. What do you start with? Ramaha, Ramau. The karta is the first. Based on karta, all the karma, everything. So this fellow is knocked off, and then all the other accoutrements of action, all the other kriyas, all the other karakas, all the bhedas therein are knocked off. Prathama malla nyayena. What is Prathama malla nyaya? If you want to be the wrestling champion in a village, what do? You don't take up a fight with each and every street urchin. No. You find out who is the top wrestler, the reigning champion, who it is, you find out. Go to that fellow, biff him, and then that person goes down, and then ulti ginti begins, the countdown begins. 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1, 0. The fellow doesn't get up. Guess what you are now? Yeah, you are the new Malla. You are now the reigning champion. So you don't have to fight each and every person in the village. No. You have to fight the topmost fellow. And here the karta is the status of karta is Prathama Malla. Because to classify oneself as an agent is a very addictive matter. And so therefore that is where the Prathama Malla is, and then that person is taken down. Karta is taken down. Connected to the karta, all these broods of things come. Object, instrument, purpose of action, place of origin of the action. And then possessive, all the things that the karta possesses, which is not a karaka, but it is counted there nonetheless. And then the place where the action happens, the locus of action, all these things come tumbling down because they are all standing on the karta. They are all holding the hands of the Karta. Karta comes down, glub, 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 Karta goes down. All of them also sink along with the Karta. So therefore, samsara upashama lakshanaha mokshaha, which is what? Paravidya vishayaha. Paracha asau vidya paravidyayaha vishayaha, paravidya vishayaha. And what is it? It is also anadi anantaha. Go back and see the description of samsara. What was that? Anadir-anantaha. Here also same thing. We have one similarity here. With samsara, what are we going to do? Samsara also has no beginning and no end. And then moksha also has no beginning, no end. Is this a problem? No. Of course no. Why? Because samsara can be put to an end when its bluff is called. When the interrogation of samsara takes place, it comes to an end. Whereas moksha, which is my own swarupa, for this there is no beginning. When were you Satchidananda? Tell me. Yesterday or today? When did you start to become Satchidananda? You were always Satchidananda. Even before you were born, you were Satchidananda. In the past life, Satchidananda. Going about in between two lives, going to lokas, you were what? Satchidananda. It's not that you became Satchidananda today. And then what? And then, so therefore, and then it never ends, thank God. This is really something to be grateful for. Once you gain this knowledge, nothing can disturb it, not even dementia. Really. What does dementia do? Dementia wipes away the brain cells and the memory of how to communicate this knowledge and perhaps the awareness that I have this knowledge. But that the memory that I have this knowledge may be wiped away. How to give this knowledge along with all the prakriyas and methodologies may be gone, but the person is still what? Free. Person is free. What is damaged are the brain cells are damaged. Person is not damaged. That person continues to be Purusha. Sarvan Purayati iti Purusha. Atma. And so, thank God, nothing can disturb. Once this knowledge is gained, you don't need to come back for another 3-month course, 1-week course, 3-day course, no more courses, of course. Okay? And then, so therefore, Anantaha, because this is the final, what is that, the final blow on the head of duality once and for all. Ajaraha. Jara means geriatry, old age. Ajaraha means free of old age. Amaraha, free of death. Amritaha, Amritaha means free of change, because Amaraha, Amritaha are the same, and in the Shruti and in the Bhashya, when two of them are there, we have to see what is the meaning that is being given. So, all these three together, Ajaraha, Amaraha, Amritaha, these three negate the 6 vikaras, Shadvikara Pratishedha. Shadvikara Pratishedha is being done. The 6 vikaras of birth, death, and what else? Growing up, surviving birth, growing up, and then blossoming, becoming capable of reproduction, and then decay, and then death. The 6 vikaras are not there for which Atma, that is called Atma. Understanding of that and abidance in that is called moksha. And then the samsara was what? Bhayaspada, full of bhaya, full of dvaita. What is this? Abhaya. And then samsara is ashuddha. I always see it as a contrast, because that is how it is presented here. Samsara is what? Shuddha or ashuddha? Ashuddha. Full of impurities, full of raga, full of dvesha, full of pain, full of sorrow, full of afflictions, in short. And what is this? What is moksha? Shuddha, ever free of all afflictions and impurities. Therefore, cheerful. where one is totally cheerful, full of cheer, prasannaha. And because you will never meet a jnani who is morose. Yeah, life is like that. Doesn't go well. So, maybe suffering, body may be suffering, but still jnani will have some space between the body and the mind. So then, finally, not finally, but concluding, Svatma Pratishtha Lakshanaha. Svatma Pratishtha Lakshanaha Yasya Saha. That moksha, what is this moksha? It is the abidance in oneself, Svatma, oneself. So, Svatmani Pratishtha, Svatma Pratishtha, in oneself, Pratishtha, abidance, living in oneself, that which is characterized as an effortless abidance in oneself. Right now, what do? We want to not abide in oneself, in the self, because the self we know and the self we think we are is fraught with pain, sorrow and fear. So the whole in samsara, the person's abidance is in objects outside of the self, in the hope that some help is gained, some reprieve from samsara is gained. So what does the person do? The person does not abide in oneself. A person goes to movie, 2 hour freedom from oneself, the self that one cannot stand. Person goes to mall, person goes to somebody's house, person goes on picnic, vacation. Why? Because one thinks one cannot stand the self. And indeed, if the self is flawed with sorrow, pain, difficulties and challenges, one cannot stand it. But this is because of Atma Ajnanam, one thinks the self is like that. The self in reality is what? Prasanna. Prasanna. So therefore, in this Prasanna, Shuddha, Abhaya, Ajara, Amara, Amrita self, there is no difficulty of abidance. In sleep, are you trying to run away from sleep? No. In sleep, you are abiding in the self that is very close to moksha. In fact, there is no subject-object division. Duality is not there. That's why sleep is very welcome. So therefore, this Svatma Pratishtha Lakshanaha, that which is characterized by, Lakshana means characterized by an easy and a limitless and effortless abidance in oneself, means just being oneself is moksha. The self is the self of all. That self we are talking about. Therefore, what is it? Limitless Ananda, Paramanandaha. Limitless Ananda it is, because it is Advayaha. Because it is Advayaha. So Advayaha means free of duality. What was samsara in one word? Duality. And what is moksha in one word? Advaya. Freedom from duality alone is moksha, and it is Advayaha, free of duality. And free of duality means what? So there is 2 stages of discovering non-duality. First stage is na bibheti kadachana iti. First stage of freedom from duality is seeing everything as Bhagavan, Ishvara. And seeing everything as Bhagavan, there is no fear because I am in the protection of Bhagavan. I have given over everything to Bhagavan. Na bibheti kadachana. At any time the person is not afraid, given to fear. But the final threshold of duality between me and Bhagavan is what? Is eradicated by the shravanam of this knowledge, the repeated listening to this knowledge, and then the person can say na bibheti kutaschana iti. Kutaschana means the bhaya karana abhavat. There is no cause for fear. The external cause for fear is not there. And since the bhaya karana is not there, what is bhaya karana? Something else other than me, bigger than me. It need not be bigger. It could be a mosquito. Oh, I'm not afraid of a mosquito. Then why do you get into a net when it comes? That is the thing. Puja Swamiji would joke that this person, we will have tiger head and boar head. They had gone and killed all over the house. This was when I was in the army and I went there and I killed it myself. He wouldn't have killed it himself, but he's saying that, okay? And then what? Okay, Swamiji, he said, good night, let us go to sleep. Where are you sleeping? I'm going in this net, So this brave man who has, met the tiger at gunpoint is getting into the net because of mosquito. Mosquitoes these days, they carry, what is that called? Starts with a D. Dengue fever, all these things are there. Dengue fever, all these things they carry. Some other things also they carry. So it need not be a big thing, but it could be a small thing and a dangerous thing. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. So in these two stages, first by inviting Ishvara into one's life, and then by the force of this knowledge, the duality which is removed. How? Cognitively. Cognitively it is removed. Duality continues. For the Jnani also duality continues. Hunger is there, thirst is there. And otherwise how will the Jnani teach? People are there. Book is there, separate. Everything is separate, but the separateness does not cause sorrow or affliction or fear, because that separateness is as though, is understood as though separateness, because it is the mithyatvam of this Dvaita is understood. And Dvaita is, there are two kinds of Dvaita. One is Jiva Srishti, the other is Ishvara Srishti. Which do I have to remove in the process of Atma Jnanam? Jiva Dvaita I have to remove. Ishvara Dvaita, let Ishvara be. Ishvara Dvaita cannot be removed, need not be removed. That I am separate from everything else, that I am small, that I am separate, this Dvaita has to be removed. And so in the wake of this Jiva Dvaita going, Ishvara Dvaita does not have the capacity to harm me. So therefore, Advayaha, is that the last word there? Yeah, Advayaha iti. This is a very, very beautiful, beautiful contrast between Paravidya and Aparavidya. So, what else? Purvam tavat Aparavidyayaha vishaya pradarsanartham arambha. Yeah. Purvam tavat meaning firstly. Tavat, that being the case, Purvam, firstly. This being the case, firstly, Aparavidyayaha vishaya pradarsanartham arambha. The text commences. The arambha, the beginning of the text, is what is dedicated to Aparavidya vishaya. Why? Tad darshanehi tan nirveda upapattehe. Tad darshane sati, locative, absolute. So tad darshane, when this is seen, when this is shown, when what is shown? Aparavidya vishaya. When the limitations of Aparavidya and its constituent samsara are shown to me, then when it is shown, only when it is shown, then tad darshane sati tan nirveda upapattehe. Tan hi tat nirveda, tasmin nirveda, tasmin Aparavidya vishayeshu nirveda. So all the subject matters of Aparavidya, I will get nirveda. Nirveda is another word for vairagya. Vairagya, although talked about as dispassion, is really what? objectivity. I am able to look at it objectively. So, objectivity I see, and then because I will tell you why it is better to translate it as objectivity, because dispassion brings in passion. Why should I have dispassion? I get passionate about dispassion. Objectivity is very easy. Like everything you see objectively. We will see that at length. I am just translating it for now to leave it at a place where we can go in more detail tomorrow. And so then Nirveda Upapattihi, the tenability of objectivity, gaining objectivity for all these small ends, using small means. When I really want the infinite, that is tenable when? Only when I see the problems of Aparavidya. So, tasmin nirveda, the nirveda jayate, the nirveda jayate when I see the dukkha dosha darshanat. Samsarasya dukkha dosha darshanadeva nirveda jayate. The nirveda jayate. So, nirveda is born, the objectivity is born when I am able to interrogate. Tatha cha vakshyati parikshya lokan karmachitan ityadina. So, the Shruti will tell, vakshyati, vachdhatu, future tense. So, tatha, in the same manner, the Shruti herself will tell in the 12th verse that this needs to examination, this Aparavidya needs examination. The world of karma, karma phala needs examination. Shruti herself is going to explain. Nahi apradarshite pariksha upapadyate iti tat pradarshayan aha. Yeah. So, apradarshite sati again. So, when this is not shown, when the limitations are not shown, then what? How is it? How am I able to do a pariksha? So, you asked me to do an examination of a subject matter that I do not know. How can I do an examination? How can I interrogate when I do not know? So, therefore, pradarshayan, showing this, the first mantra is begun, tad etad satyam ityadina. We will see that tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.